Hey guys, welcome to the Sounds Legit podcast, episode 13. Recorded live, well, at least now. Recorded on Sunday, June 12th, 2016. How you guys doing? Everyone okay? Great news. Finally figured out how to get on Twitter. No, not Twitter, sorry, iTunes. So I left a message. I asked the tech support of the host I am with how I could get my podcast downloaded more. I mean, because I set up the RSS feeds and everything, and I thought somehow that would just magically go onto the internet. Then I started doing some more research into it, and I figured out that, okay, I might need an RSS feed aggregator or something. But at the same time, I was like, okay, that seems a bit complex. But they got back to me and said, oh yeah, you need to submit it to iTunes, and they'll review it, and then if you're good, then they'll take it off you and whatnot. And I did just that. So yeah, I'm now on iTunes, I'm on YouTube, I'm on SoundCloud, and I probably should give you all this information. If you go on iTunes, if you're an Apple user, if you go on iTunes and just do Sounds Legit Podcast, you would definitely find my podcast. But you will also find another podcast called Sounds Legit Podcast, which is insane because I think they got to the iTunes store first while I was still trying to figure it out. But if you check out my video library on YouTube, you'd seen that I came first because I've been there since March. So it's very interesting. They're in the culture and people section. I'm in the comedy section. So we kind of have different markets there. I put my stuff in comedy because I try to, dissect the topics I go after with comedic effect. And I try to do the same with my buddies. And I just checked it recently. And apparently so far, one of my most popular episodes is episode 3, the one I did with Dan, Doping Horses. I was actually listening to that the other day. So my plan really is to get people on the show. But if I can't get them in, I have this policy that I must put something out every week. And I think it's a very good discipline to have because it's modeled after Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast, which he does every Monday and Thursday. So he has a Thursday afternoon Monday morning podcast where he does a 30-minute segment, and then there's a 30-minute recap because he's done so many podcast episodes. But I do admire his discipline because he does it every week without fail, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do. So every week I'm trying to come up with something new. Every week I'm trying to put something out. Otherwise, I might, to be honest, I think that's a good thing because otherwise I'll just get lazy and stop, especially because most of the time it's very hard to find. I don't have a constant partner to, work with. That was the idea of my previous show anyway, with the Two Dudes Talking podcast that I had to retire because I couldn't find a constant partner to talk with. But if you've ever listened to I've only done, I think, 3 episodes now where I've had people join me, and those are really fun. Not that I'm discounting what I do. I mean, for a solo podcast, I try my best, but I personally enjoy having another person on and just bouncing off them because it's hilarious, and I come into it more. I'm more animated. I have more ideas, but right now it's like a monologue. I'm basically just talking at you, and you guys are listening. But I will improve it. We're getting there. I'm on, like I said, I'm on YouTube now. So if you do a search for Sounds Legit Podcast on YouTube, you find all my episodes on there. I am also on SoundCloud. Now, with the SoundCloud platform, what I do there is I only post episodes where I have guests. So, because otherwise I don't necessarily feel like I should put this monologue episodes there. That's my own personal project to improve my oratory skills and my comedy writing chops or comedy instincts. And then on iTunes, I just put everything there, just to disseminate things more widely. And my next target now is just to figure out Twitter. So I should be, between this episode and episode 14, I should be able to source something out on Twitter, and just to. I think it's a more useful platform where people discover stuff, so I'm just going to put it out there. But anyways, forgetting all that, how you guys doing? Everyone okay? Yes? So I've been watching a lot of the Euro Cup because I love football so much. So I think I watched the opening match between France and country is it? Romania. It was really interesting. It was really good. I was texting my buddy who was in Paris at the time, and it was so surreal because I was just like, "Oh my god, did you see that?" And it was like, "Yeah, man, it's fucking awesome." And that was really fun. I remember watching the match was really good. I mean, yeah. So I'm probably alienating the half of my 2 listeners who was even bothering to listen to me talk now. And I remember just watching this goal by Hyatt, and I was just looking, how do people do that? You know, I mean, it's just like, it's talent, obviously. It's like you have people that they're so good at football. And I'm like, because I play football as well, and I normally play football Sunday morning. So I'm not playing today. I'm just taking it easy. But I was so envious, especially when this guy, I think it's Hyatt is his name, just scored the second goal. And I was just looking at the camera replay, and he just turned around and just whacked the ball with his left foot. And it was so good. It just scored, and I was like, fuck yeah, that was a good shot. I think that's one of the best goals in the tournament so far. Actually, no, I can't say that now because there was this free kick by Gareth Bales of Wales, and that rhymed, against Slovakia. And the first free kick, this guy just whacked it, set piece, just off the penalty area. With his left, just whacked it in. I was like, my God. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing now. So I watched the France-Romania match on Friday night, which was good. And then I watched all 3 matches yesterday. So I saw, I missed most of the first half of Albania versus Switzerland, but I watched that. I think Switzerland won. I then watched, who else played? How am I forgetting these things? Oh, God. I know England and Russia played in the evening. In the afternoon, hang on, let me just quickly check. You would think I'll know all that. Well. Let's see. Wales, Slovakia. Yeah, of course, Wales, Slovakia. So I watched that. That was fun. I think one of the best interesting matches actually I've seen so far is Wales, Slovakia. I mean, both sides were just going at it. The Slovaks played really well. But Wales, man, I don't know. It's just, and I think a lot of people have always discounted Wales as a football side because they were just like this, I don't know. They're not seen as a major power. I mean, how many people live in Wales? It's like 15,000 people. No, not quite. Population of Wales. Hang on. You think I would have done all this research. Population of Wales. 3.063 million. So London, the borough of London, Greater London, has more people, twice the population of Wales. So I think because of that, you don't get a lot of like decent football talents coming out of them, or out of there actually. But no, I was really impressed while watching the current football match. Let's see, there was this guy. Besides, the problem I always have with countries like Wales is like they always have this reliance on a lucky charm. Like at the moment for the Welsh team, it's some chap called Gareth Bales, or Bale actually, soccer team. Hang on, but I was really impressed. Let me see. I was watching the match yesterday, and I was really impressed with one of the players. I mean, poor guy got elbowed and kicked off the head, and both times the referee. Both times the referee wouldn't even say anything. Let's get the guy's name. It's not Williams, is it? I think so. Yeah, it's one of these guys. I think, see that? Some guy called Jonathan Williams or George Williams. Guys he got just elbowed by a Slovakian player, like proper, just charged off the ball and just elbowed in the face. And the referee did nothing. I was like, oh my God, that's like a fucking pub fight right there. But no, that was a good match. I watched it, and I thought both sides were really good. Wales was surprisingly good. I mean, they didn't really rely much on Gareth Bale this time. I mean, he scored a goal. They considered a goal by the Slovaks, which, it was a balanced match, to be honest. And I thought the Slovaks were just unlucky that there was this guy called, I think, Robson Khan, who just, scored this fantastic winning goal. But no, that was really fun. I enjoyed it. Now, but the greatest upset came when I was watching the England-Russia game. I mean, it's something about the English team where I think they seem to always do the opposite, regardless of what you think of them. So I was actually expecting the English team to, in a way, dominate and beat Russia. There's this predictor league I joined that me and my friends, we set up a kind of like sweepstake. That's a friendly one. And I thought, okay, I played my bets that England would beat Russia 3-1. And then the first half went, nobody scored anything. I was like, okay. And then, yeah, second half came around and we're tossing about left and right. I mean, yeah, the English team they had good chances to score. And even the Russians were not too much. To be honest, I was watching the Russians, so I was like, there is no action plan here. There's no action plan. I mean, you'd have like the back two defenders passing the ball and then just lobbing the ball towards the middle. I mean, that reminds me of how the side I play football with. I remember that's how we play, and it frustrates me because I'm like, can we just pass the fucking ball, instead of just whacking the ball? It's like we have no confidence in our players. And so our guys would just basically play long balls towards the center. I mean, which is fine when you start playing, but it becomes an issue when people start, we've been playing, and it's insane because I think sometimes we play up to 2 hours on the pitch. And, I mean, it's ridiculous. So you play the ball down pitch. I mean, like, it's fine for the first 30 minutes, but after that, people start to get tired. So you whack the ball and then they can't chase it anymore. Then we end up suffering from counter-attacks and sometimes we lose. I remember there was this situation where we were winning 6-2 and then the opponents the other guys actually recuperated, equalized and almost beat us. So by the time they equalized us, we were like, oh no, we're going home now. No. But no, yes, I've been watching the Euro Cup and I'm going to watch the next round of matches today. I think we got Turkey and Croatia first, Poland and Northern Ireland. That should be interesting. I don't expect much from that. I don't know. So the issue with the whole prediction thing is that because I don't follow football that much, so I have an issue with data. Like now I'm collecting information with the first round of players, like games. I know the capabilities now of all the teams I've already played. So until I've seen them before I can make more accurate predictions. At the moment, I think I should be in the lead of this 4-man prediction league thing we got going. I think I have 60 points, the next person has 40, and then the remaining 2 have 10 points each. So Turkey and Croatia this afternoon should be interesting because Turkey, even though I've never seen them play before, I don't think I've ever seen them play, they do have a formidable side. Croatia, you don't want to fuck with those guys, man. They are quite good. I've never actually seen them play in a while. You don't mess around with them. Poland are not necessarily a good team. Even my Polish friends, just the few ones that are even aware of the sheer fact that Poland play football, they're not too entirely enthusiastic or optimistic. Northern Ireland, hard to say. I can't tell how good that would be. Germany and Ukraine. Now, my bets are for the Germans because, I mean, they're the World Cup winners. And the thing about the Germans is like, they may not have star players, but they make up for it in discipline and tactics and formation and whatnot. They are the most disciplined team on the planet. So, my money is on Germany to beat Ukraine this evening. And then tomorrow we have Spain, Czech Republic. I'm going to miss that since I'm going to be at work. Ireland, Sweden, should be interesting. I think the Swedes will beat the Irish. I remember that is the group of death, really. I think Ireland, Sweden, I think England, and I just felt sorry for Ireland because they were just in this really horrible group of just powerful teams. So I feel sorry for them actually. Oh man, I think they have Italy. Italy and Belgium. Yeah. So you have Belgium, Italy, Ireland, and Sweden. That is a group of death. It always seems to happen in every major tournament. You have this group where you have one unlucky country just absolutely stacked with a bunch of fucking killers. It's like some guy getting, like, let's say you get arrested on a traffic charge and then you're sent to prison let's say things escalate because, I don't know, someone down the judicial system, someone made a mistake and probably put a dot where they should have put a comma or something, and you end up in prison with hardened killers. That's essentially where Ireland is in that group. It's like, Jesus, Belgium, Italy, Sweden, Jesus Christ. I mean, yeah, the Swedes, you don't fuck around with the Swedes, man. Italy, they just play dirty all the time, and they'll just, if they don't beat you outright, they'll just brutalize all your players. And the Belgians, they're actually quite good. So it's going to be interesting, the Ireland game. Man, I might not even play football tomorrow. I just want to watch all these matches. But anyway, so that's my thing so far, watching the Euro Cup. And I started thinking about how back in the day, in the old country, since I grew up in Nigeria, we play football every day, that was for sure. And it always paid to know someone that has an actual football. You didn't necessarily have to like the guy. You just have to be friendly enough with him that he has a football. And one of the ironic parts about that whole deal is that the person that usually has the football is so shit at playing football, but you have to tolerate them and then bring them into the fold. So I remember a typical day would be like this. So I meet up with my bunch of close friends. I had two of them. And then, we'll talk about, we'll shit talk a bit, talk about like school and whatnot. And so, all right, let's go play football. And then we'd go around roping all our guys. So from 3, you would have 7, you have 15, you have 20, and you just have this mob of kids. And then we always make sure, because by then it was like, okay, who has a ball? No one has a ball. Okay, so we'd start asking each other, who has a ball? So we find an acquaintance of ours, someone that's not even anywhere close to our circle of friends. We just mob his house and say, oh yeah, he's in. Can he come out to play? And usually the guy was like, oh yeah, cool. So he's the one with the ball, and then we treat him like a VIP. And then there's the part that's fucked up. We usually, because I remember we lived in this estate area, and we had a few pitches that were just made up, not that anything official. So I remember this one we had to literally dig up. We just cultivated this land and cleared out all the grass, and then just played on it until all the rest of the grass just died and it became sandy. That was where, because my family lived in 2 different zones, because the estate is made up of zones. So there was a zone we used to live in called Zone C. And next to Zone C was like this huge trash heap. And next to it was like a patch of land that was just full of grass, uncultivated. We went in there with machetes and we just macheted, like we just cleared the whole thing. I remember that was a Saturday afternoon. We just did it, and then we just kept playing on it until the rest of the grass stumps died out because of us just running on it constantly. And afterwards, so that's how we made our football pitch. But then my family moved from Zone C to Zone D, and I had to make a whole bunch of new friends. And there were no official land. There was no like free land next to that zone, so because there were mostly shops. So we had to play on the car park. So. And I'm not even just talking about friendly car parks where the asphalt is smooth and whatnot. I mean, I'm talking about, I didn't even know how they made this. Car parks where you had gravel sticking out of the tarmac. So it was just like, if you took a knock, your legs would be fucked up. I mean, oh man. I remember like, to play on those things, you couldn't play barefoot. Heaven help you if you played barefoot. You couldn't play barefoot. So we always had to wear sandals. You just make sure we tighten up the sandals and make sure they're really tight. So the sandals became our boots, really. And the ball itself, was just, it's not like the padded leather balls you get here in Europe. This was, I didn't even know where they got this ball from, but it was so hard. It's like you're fucking kicking a stone, and heaven forbid if you took a shot to your nuts. I've been taking shots to my nuts ages, so especially when I play with a bunch of savages I play with on Sunday mornings. It hasn't happened this year so far, so it's good. But I might be answering questions in a fertility clinic in my near future. That's besides the point. Point being, so we would play on this asphalt, and we just played. We didn't even care. So I mean, there's this unspoken rule where we tried not to tackle each other, so nobody did any sliding tackles here. Yeah, do a slide tackle. But we tried not to brutalize each other at the same time. And I remember once though, we were all playing, and someone got overzealous and just shot the ball trying to score, and so, the goalie deflected it and the ball just flew up and then went and smashed someone's windscreen. And I remember with alacrity, the ball just going off just as it bounced over the windscreen and it broke. I literally just turned around and just gunned it. Everyone just dispersed. Everybody, we just dispersed. We just ran, and I remember laughing all the way. That's such assholes we were. We just laughed all the way. And ironically enough, it was with that one of those guys that we didn't really know. So it's perfect. So he didn't even know us. So he couldn't come back later to say, oh yeah, these are the guys I played with. So we didn't have this whole collective responsibility to pay for the damages we'd caused. And as far as I'm concerned, I wasn't the person that shot the ball, so I wasn't going to pay for shit, So no, that was life in the old country. But anyways, before I start this, 22 minutes in, and to think I just spoke up almost half an hour about football. Apologies. Hey, it's Euro Cup. What can you do? So in a previous episode, I think in episode 10 and episode 12, I had my buddy on, Audacious, and we, amongst other things, we talked about the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard situation. And I remember I sent a link to my buddy on Thursdays, telling him, like, listen, dude, I just sent him this link, and I started, I communicated that I was just laughing. Apparently, just a redux on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case. I mean, I basically think she's a mercenary at this point. I mean, come on. Okay, so apparently she's suing a comedian, Doug Stanhope. I'm sure if you follow the comedy circuit, you'll probably be familiar with him. She's suing him on defamation, reasons for defamation, because he had penned a blog on a website called therap.com that, amongst other things, based on the conversations he's had with Johnny Depp, because he and Johnny Depp are friends, and he believes that, and this is something he claims Johnny Depp told him, that Amber Heard is literally trying to extort him for cash, because apparently somehow the marriage wasn't going too well. Blame Johnny Depp. I don't know what the fuck's going on there, but apparently she's suing him now for defamation, damages and whatnot. And when I saw that article, I just started laughing. I was like, aha! And I sent Audacious the clip, laughing. See, I told you so. I fucking told you so. So I think the next time I have him on, we're going to touch upon that. So I don't want to talk too much, but I started laughing. And it's just, okay, it's a tricky issue, of course, because there is that possibility that, yes, Johnny Depp might have been abusive or whatever, but okay, fine, I'm not going to discount that possibility, but I don't think this is that possibility. That's my point. Because, fine, his wife came out saying, that was uncharacteristic of Johnny. He would never do that. His daughter came up saying the same thing. Even Johnny Depp's second wife, that he was married to for 2 years, said the same thing, that he's the softest person ever. He's he has issues with drinks or whatever, but he's never been violent. He's never been violent with anyone. So for him to do that in this Amber Heard's case, it's so uncharacteristic of him. So there is that coming from his side of the defense. And for me, it's just, I keep looking at the behavior of Amber Heard herself, and I'm like, so I mean, the whole case that she's actually trying to sue Doug Stanhope for defamation. I mean, normally in any other case, I wouldn't even care about it, but it's just the whole scenario. I mean, this is a woman where she claims, fine, she was being domestically abused by her husband, this famous actor called Johnny Depp. And then after, getting a restraining order on him, one of the first things she wants to do is to get spousal support. I mean, again, it goes back to the whole thing there. If you are being abused, you wouldn't want anything to do with your abuser. I don't get that. I mean, I don't know, maybe this is female logic, but for me, it doesn't make any sense. And I think there's a lot like a domestic abuse case where the women go into shelters, okay? That's how bad it is. They go into shelters because they don't even want the guy to know anything about where they are or whatever. Women like that, they usually try and protect themselves, but she's just going the other way, making things public, saying, taking photos of the bruise on websites and everything. There's a weird scandal thing going on there, because I think was it a day or two, she went to a friend's barbecue and she was seen, in a photo, and no one could see a bruise. And now people are saying, oh, maybe we should ask her friends at the barbecue that, what, did you see all the bruise? Now, there was no bruise there. And then the day she was in court for a hearing, that photo was taken off Twitter. But someone already snapshotted it, so you can still find it if you want. But again, that was the second rousing suspicion of me saying, okay, there's a possibility here that she might be a mercenary. I mean, I was comparing her to like Kobe Bryant's wife. I think she's divorcing her. She's taking half. She's taking half, man. Kobe Bryant's wife. Let me just make sure. I'm not making a wife divorce. I think one of them was divorcing her. Oh, they're staying together. She drops the divorce. Wait. Oh my god. So I have to re-update that. Okay. Alright. So there's nothing new there. So they're going to divorce. And then she drops it. Huh. So now people are saying, oh man, see, that just ruined all my joke now, because I thought they actually divorced in the end. Say Kobe Bryant, Venezuela, call of divorce for love or money? Because the analogy there, or the similarity there, was sheer fact that, was it the sheer fact that he cheated on her and she just stuck in there? So I was kind of like, that's an even extreme example where, she was there for a long time, like almost 10 years, and she was just, taking all the ridicule of your husband cheating on you and whatnot, and she stuck with it, and she was going to divorce the guy, but apparently now she's called it off. So there goes my rant about that. Honestly. But yeah, anyways, but the sheer fact that Amber Heard wants to, she's soon. So, from my perspective, she has all the makings of a mercenary. Because I don't necessarily understand, if you're an abuse victim, you still seek spousal support from your husband. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I would have thought you would want to keep as much distance as possible from this guy and want nothing to do with him. And then I was reading this other article. Again, I'm not sure if it's true, because, it's not like anything I read on the internet is true. We might as well all just adopt a very Socratic view that, we're not sure about anything. But if I read something on the web, I should at least consider it. So in this particular article, it basically had a glance. I don't even know how they got through her finances, but something about how at the end of 2015 she was worth $51,087 or something. Well, Johnny Depp's worth God knows how many hundreds of millions of dollars. So when you look at that, and then the sheer fact that during the divorce proceedings, at least, she's filing for spousal support, it starts to make sense that, maybe she's in there for the money. That becomes that rings true. You start to think that way. You look at the sheer fact that, she's filing for the divorce, claiming abuse, and she's asking for divorce. For me, the spousal support was it. That's when I was like, okay, I think you're a mercenary, so I have no sympathy for you. And then the other thing was this whole dog stand-up thing. Now, okay, fine. If any of this was true, right? Let's say the actual case did happen and Johnny Depp was abusing her and everything, and you had someone like Doug Stanhope, write an article. Now, the smartest thing for her to do at that point would be to reach out to Doug Stanhope and say, listen, let's talk. I'm telling you this happened, blah, blah, blah. So, I would, do nothing. But instead she wants to sue the guy. So, she's just lashing out, and she says, she's going to donate all the proceedings from the successful prosecution of the case to Women's Shelter Charity. But I'm like, it just looks bad, It just looks very bad. Christ, what a mess. What a mess, honestly. And again, Johnny Depp, why just marry someone your own age? You already have kids. Just marry someone your own age and stop, meeting this young woman that, most of them, as in this case, I suspect to be a mercenary. They're going to take you for all you got. And I think the whole thing's a bit tricky because I think Audacious, and I almost touched upon it the last time we spoke, because we always assume abuse can only be done by men. I think that's a problem. People think, oh yeah, if in a domestic abuse case, it's only the man that abuses the woman, but it's never the case where the woman abuses the man. I mean, there is that possibility too. Women can be assholes. They can be assholes, but it's just whenever, the whole thing's so skewed now. And I think it's unfair, and I think I mentioned, no, I didn't mention, but someone said it. This is so anecdotal, it's ridiculous. Once a woman cries rape, or she cries for a crime or something, oh yeah, I think Bill Burr said it in his podcast actually, it's like the guy or the man, they just get dragged through shit. I mean, they just get absolutely smashed. Their reputations are smashed. I mean, their names are published by the press. And this is just based on accusations, not even actual facts. I think was that whole, I keep forgetting the names of these cases. There was that whole lacrosse team thing that happened, Duke lacrosse team, back, God knows, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where this girl accused members of the lacrosse team of, gang raping her and everything. And then we found out in the end that she made it all up. Meanwhile, these guys, they were arrested. They have a criminal record. Well, their names are registered somewhere now. They were dragged through the court system. Their names were publicized way in advance before, we discovered that. And she confessed that she made the whole thing up. So it's very tricky. Before anyone proves anything, people are already up in arms because we just assume when a woman claims something, it's automatically true. And I think it goes to, it essentially goes to this whole thing where, I don't know, I think it's just a reaction. We always try to protect women because they're the weak, physically the weaker sex, so we always try to help them. But you do get some assholes. You do get some mercenaries in there. So, and ironically, this makes things worse. It makes things worse for actual cases of abuse, of actual cases of rape, or actual cases of any crimes committed against women. When you have assholes like these, and they just blow things up out of proportion, they lie, and then it makes people skeptical. Because I won't lie, I mean, after I saw the whole spousal support thing, I was just like, okay, I'm going to sit on the fence now and see what happens. And then now she wants to sue Doug Stanhope. Like, aha, you see. So it's going to be interesting. The whole thing's spiraling out of control. So I'm actually very interested to see what happens in the end. Yeah. Oh, yeah, going back to the old football thing. I mean, I was talking about, I remember when, during the Wales-Slovakia game, I think after that whole Robson Kanu scored, or someone scored, and it's just to do about all the celebrations and whatnot when the footballers, they celebrate. And you see them all just run, and then some guy does a dive on the ground. Everyone just piles up on it. And every single time I see that, I get nervous. I'm like, wait, can that guy breathe? Can you imagine? It's like they're doing all this football pile up, and they're so happy. Everyone's like, yeah, we scored the goal. And then they did a pile up, and then, they all get up to leave, and then the goal scorer is still on the ground, not breathing. Oh, God. Oh, man. I always get nervous when I watch that. Crap. But anyways, I did read an article about this teacher. Let me bring it up so it's not like I'm making things up. Vanessa Lane Bryant. Damn. So apparently as a teacher, she's 24 years old. I got pregnant with a pupil who was 13 at the time. And I'm like, I mean, it's not like even the case where they had a relationship since last year, and so she'd been having sex with the student continuously, non-stop. So it was like properly planned and everything. So it wasn't like, oh, it was a mistake or 1 or 2 or something. And she got pregnant. And so now she's in court. And, I mean, the court's not fucking around, really, because if she's found guilty, she faces a sentence of 25 years to life. And I'm like, okay, that's that's very severe, actually, But no, it's just the point I was thinking about. I was like, so I checked her out. physically she's attractive. I mean, but I don't get it. It's like, why are you sleeping with a minor? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like, you can have any guy, you know. Why are you sleeping with a minor? Why? You know, it flipped the whole thing opposite. I mean, that's probably the most horrific thing ever. If a guy's, and again, I don't know if it's a bit sexist, you know, but I don't know, from my perspective anyway. You flip it across, it's a guy systematically having sex with a female pupil. You'll be like, ugh, even my stomach gets a bit queasy when I think about it that way. You'll be like, dude, what the fuck, you know? Honestly. But anyways, so apparently she's in court. I think the hearings are going on. And I always have to think about, like, so she got pregnant and she had to do an abortion because Child Protection Services were in the school asking questions about, you know, what happened. They were asking her questions, they were asking the student questions, and basically she had to get an abortion, but in the end they still found out what was happening. 1 second there. Just looking for something. So she got an abortion, and I started thinking, okay, who snitched? You know, who basically said something? Because if she and this student are having an affair, I bet he did it. You know, he was like, yeah, you know, I'm sleeping with the teacher, etc. And I bet it's one of his friends that got jealous. You know, you always gotta have one of those haters, like, you know, they're like, oh, can I get in on the action? It's like, nope. And it's like, if you don't let me in, I'm going to tell someone. And I would suspect that that's what happened. Not that I'm supporting anything, I'm just saying. I was just asking the questions, like, who basically snitched first? Because apparently the Child Protection Services got involved and were asking questions. And she, you know, had to get an abortion to cover things up, to clear tracks. But in the end, they still found out what happened. So, so now she's in court, and it's insane because, like I said, if you know, if she was found out, if she's found guilty, she's going to spend 25 years. And I don't know, man, that seems a bit extreme, you know, just 25 years for that. I mean, I don't know. Do actual murderers get... Yeah, of course, yeah, that's a stupid question. They do get life sentences, but I think that's just 25 years. Well, I suppose they're trying to make a statement, but because I think they'll do the same thing if it was a guy, right? But no. So I've been reading that, and of course I've always been asking that question, saying, okay, goes back to the thing I was talking about earlier. If you're, she's 24, so she's young. This teacher, she's fairly attractive, and she was in a relationship. She has a kid with someone else, and so I don't understand that. She's like, I've seen a bunch of cases where female teachers are sleeping with the students. I'm like, what is going on there? I mean, what state do you live in? Are the guys such assholes that you don't want to date them? Guys, or I don't understand it. I mean, I'm sure if she's that attractive, she could attract, you know, fairly good-looking guys. I mean, what is going on there? It's just, I can't get it. So that's the first question. That's when I saw this article. I glanced at the accent last week and instantly looked it up. And luckily, there was a photo so you could see what she looks like. And I looked at it. I was like, why? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Someone should ask her that question, honestly. Man. And I started remembering how, like, I think I came up with a anecdote. Well, it's not even an anecdote. You ever heard of a program called Omegle or something? It's Omegle, Omegle. And it was this interesting project that came to fruition a couple of years ago. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago. And I decided, I'll check it out, because apparently it randomly connects you to people who also use it. You know, so it's like this anonymous kind of chatting program that I thought it would be interesting to try out. So I did it, and interesting enough, I mean, I think I chatted with some racist, and there was this kid. There was this kid I was chatting with, and he was from, what country was it? Was it Slovakia or something? Czech Republic, some Eastern European country. It was just like, so we're talking, and it was just like, you could tell it was 14 or something. It was just like spamming in capital letters and talking shit, and I was just trying, and then when he found out I was like, African or black, he was just like, like using the N-word constantly at me. And to be honest, I wasn't even offended. I was just laughing. And I played into it. And he was like, oh, you. So I'm like, no, but, I'm an African. And he's just like, oh, yeah, you're black, blah, blah, blah. And I was just laughing at him. And in the end, so I think what I do now at racists is like, especially if I encounter them on the internet, I just smile and laugh at them. And, I try to understand where they're coming from. I don't necessarily feel offended because that way I don't give them any power. So this guy's been all racist and I just played into it. And in the end, he disconnected. And before he disconnected, so the whole thing turned out to be oddly amicable. My point being, so that was one of the persons I connected to. I remember connecting to this chap in Brazil, and he spoke English, so that was interesting. So we had a chat. It was kind of interesting. And then I decided, okay, let me try the webcam portion of this Omegle thing. And I swear to God, if you are, for some reason, into penises, erect penises, you should totally check the webcam version of Omegle. And that brought a lot of questions to me because from the get-go, I saw this Omegle webcam thing. It was just dudes just with the penises right there, half-mast, just cocking the penises. And I was like, okay. I mean, so I won't lie to you. I was there for an hour. And I calculated the amount. I only connected to 2 females that we had a brief chat and it disconnected. Because that's the other thing on that Omegle. It's just the conversations are so quick fire. Sometimes you barely have time to say hello. You connect, you say hi, they just disconnect. But I counted 18 different incidents of penises, erect fucking cocks. And the guys were just like, they're half naked or sometimes fully naked, half masked, just cocking the dicks. And I'm like, what is happening here? And is this some kind of weird kind of fetish thing that I just stumbled onto? And it's always that question. It's like, does this actually work for women? And I need to ask some of my female friends about this, because I'm like, you want to chat with a guy, he's there with his penis erect. Does that do anything for you? Does it? Because I'd like to find out. So basically, that was the scenario, and I was just there, and it brought me to the conclusion that the internet, for the most part, is made of cocks, or the internet is full of cocks, actually. And it's so typical that someone would invent a technology, and then other human beings would find a way to cock it up. That's what I did there with the puns. Yeah, so that was my foray into Omegle.com. You should check it out. But I'm telling you, man, if you have like an hour to spare on a Sunday evening and you just want to have, I don't know, you want to have your mind fucking corrupted or ruined, yeah, check out the webcam version of Omegle.com. And they don't pay me. This is not an advertisement for them. So, yeah, God. Jesus, I think I saw enough penises to last the rest of my lifetime. Just like, I should have seen any of this. Oh, it's ridiculous. Oh, man. Anyways, I find myself running into a lot of vegetarians lately. I remember having a conversation with my colleagues about animal treatments and everything. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I agree. Mass production of animals. I don't necessarily agree or condone what they do, but I do understand why they do it, though. I mean, last time anyone checked, there's like 7 billion people on the planet. And for the most part, those people like eating meat, I being one of them. Problem with meat is it's fucking delicious, okay? And of course, there's that whole argument about meat being dependent, the quality of meat, depending on how the animal is treated and everything. Yes, there's definitely a difference there. But at the same time, if you have to mass farm animals to feed fuckloads of people, something's got to slip in there. Sometimes quality slips, and the humane quote-unquote treatment would slip through as well. And so I keep running to vegetarians and talking about this sort of thing, and I was like, yeah, it's fair enough. And that's the thing, I do agree with them. There are vegans as well that I run into, although the vegans, some of the vegans I've met are just batshit insane. and they take things to the next level. But my point being is this. There's this documentary on Netflix. Oh, God, I keep forgetting the name of it. That I'm afraid to watch. That, because a lot of people say after they watched it, they went vegetarian or vegan. I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch it then. I'm just going to avoid watching any kind of documentaries, because I actually am afraid that I might turn vegetarian after watching it. But then again, I don't know. I mean, there are some nutrients you can get from meat that's very difficult otherwise to get outside, from plant-based sources, meaning you have to consume a whole score of different plants to get the same thing you get from a single, steak dinner or whatnot. So yeah, I find myself keep running into like vegetarians and everything, and I'm like, what's going on, And ironically, in my real life, I don't eat meat that much, to be honest. I'm gonna go cook now. There's a beef stew I want to cook. It's probably one of the only recipes I can cook, so I'm gonna go do that. And that's basically it. I mean, throughout the week, I eat a lot of eggs for my protein. And even some vegans would argue with you about eggs for protein, saying, listen, it's animal cruelty and you're eating. I'm like, okay, yeah. So do you realize that chickens actually lay eggs regardless of if they're fertilized or not? So I would like to think the eggs I'm eating are blanks. So it's karma free if you want to freak out about that. And okay, I can always flip it up on the person and say, listen, do you realize that, okay, fine, plants are life forms as well, that, fine, you can't hear them scream or, see if they feel pain. So, but you eat them anyway. And so what the fuck? And why are you giving me shit, And you don't give a fuck about insects. Because I've been reading some articles about how, like, insect protein's really good. And going forward, we might need to start consuming more insects. I think some cultures already do it, where they have like they just grill crickets, or you can even have insect burgers. You can just mash a whole bunch of them and use that as your pate. But until that day comes, I'm okay eating meat. I'm fine eating meat. And I remember I was having a conversation with my colleagues. Listen, yes, I understand that it's horrible the way animals are treated, but I'm still gonna fucking eat meat, okay? Because in the end, they're still animals, and if they're delicious, I'm gonna eat them. And I explained to them how, like, I distanced myself from chicken at a very young age because it was Christmas and my mom bought us chickens to eat. Because in Nigeria, at least for us, we only eat chickens during Christmas because it's a different type of meat, so there's a novelty to it. And we have certain recipes that you cook with chicken, and it just has that whole Christmas feel to it. Anyways, so there was two of them, and I liked one of them, so I was playing around with it, and it was I thought of it as a pet. Didn't give it a name, but I was thinking about it. So Christmas Eve, my mom was like, she spoke to my cousins, like, okay, dude, we need to kill these things. Can you go kill them so we can start cooking them? And after it killed the first one, I remember I was holding the second chicken. I was like, wait, what the fuck? It's gonna. And he turned around at me. I was like, okay, dude, I need to get the chicken. I was like, but he just grabbed the chicken off me before I could say anything. And then in my presence, he put the chicken there. Let me see. He didn't chop the head off as I thought he did, actually, come to think of it. He basically just like slit the throat and bled it out. And admittedly, that must have been horrifying for this chicken. And it was horrifying for me as well, because I was just there saying, oh my God, what the fuck? And afterwards, so I watched him peel it. He pulled the feathers out, so you have to defeather them, and then poured hot water over the skin of it. I think he just dunked in really hot water. I don't know what that does. That kills a lot of bacteria and whatever, and also removes all the feathers that are still there. It's quite an involving process, actually. But I'll tell you something, though. After that thing was cooked, and I had it that evening, it was fucking delicious. And that was when I was like, because I felt a bit bad that I saw this thing being killed in front of me. But when, after, like, later that evening, we're having Christmas dinner, I was like, fucking hell, this is delicious. It's absolutely fucking delicious. And so for me, I don't know, there was a switch that flicked in my head and said, okay, listen, if this thing's food, I can't befriend it. I can't think that, okay, this is, yeah, it's a life form, but it's a life form that's kind of there for me to eat. So, yeah, So that was a conversation I had with my colleagues, and they were saying, about I never once disputed to them that, yeah, it's good the way we treat animals, but I do have it in the back of my head that they are still a food source, and I'm not going to let go of that because you think, we should be treating them nice. If life eats life. I think that's the underlying premise. I mean, even in our immune cells, you have your white blood cells that are absolutely just killing things for you to stay alive, And I had this bit that, our white blood cells are absolute cunts, if you think about it. Let's think about like a bunch of grizzled Iraqi, like U.S. Marines, Iraqi veterans that have been in the shit for months on end. And you have them be like a police force, members of a police force, and they see shit happening. I wouldn't blame them too much if they just started shooting straight away, because those guys don't give a fuck about anything. Not saying it's justified, of course. But no, even in your blood cells, life eats life, You have to eat something. I'm not going to discount an entire source of food because humane treatment. Fine. That said, I do employ some kind of hierarchy. I'm a speciesist in a way based on what I do eat and what I don't eat. I wouldn't eat a dog because, one, I like dogs and they don't taste good, so there is that important facet. Cats, I hate cats so much, but I'm not going to kill them. I don't want to eat them. But cows, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it, but you're still food because you taste delicious. Same with pigs, same with chickens. What else? I think that's it, really. I mean, most of the animals, yeah, fine, deer, but I don't eat deer because I'm not, wealthy enough to eat deer. But wild game, wild pigs, boars, or whatnot, and some birds, man, like, let's see, the guinea fowl, that's delicious, ducks, geese, swans. And I don't think anyone eats swans, actually, but ducks and geese, we eat that shit. It's delicious. What are you talking about? Point being, we are omnivores for a reason. I mean, I think I've read some articles where it is argued that we are omnivores because of the sheer fact that we, the sheer fact that we mixed our food. That's why our ancestors evolved in the first place, because we started cooking our meals and we ate a mixture of plant-based proteins and carbs and animal-based proteins and fats and whatnot. And that's the way we are. Like, have you noticed how, like, for herbivores, the eyes of herbivores always looking to the side and not forward, So humans, we have a canine, two sets of canine teeth and incisors for biting and tearing, and then we have our molars and premolars for chewing. So it's a combination of both. So for me, it's a bit weird that you should say, we should just discount animal products, and then Jesus, it's not like the animals are revolting. And for a comedy podcast, this has almost nothing to do with comedy, so I should probably change the category. Oh my God. The issue, of course, is, I'm only mostly comedic or funny when there's someone else talking. Otherwise, it's just a rant. And I don't know how Bill Burr does it. He always finds the funny. Is it 2-3 decades seasoned comedian? So he always finds the humor in everything. I remember there was this episode. He was talking about how he has an interesting disconnection with human suffering. I think I'm putting it that way, but when he sees like an accident, if a person is involved in an accident, he starts to laugh, and he thinks because he's partly psychotic for that to happen, because he was talking about how he was hiking up this hill, and this is probably one of the most funniest episodes I've ever listened to. I ever listened to him talk about, and he was hiking up this hill. And this chap, some skater dude or whatever, was just literally going down full speed. And he turned around and looked at the guy with fascination. So he knew what was going to happen because he didn't know how this guy was going to stop. So this guy was literally going down this hill at full speed, and did this road, this road hill or whatever, fed into like a T-junction. And so obviously the skater had to stop somehow, but he couldn't. So he tried to slow down, but the moment he did that, he basically just went off the skateboard and just literally barreled into this car. And you had to listen. You've had to listen to this podcast where Bill just describes how he just watched it in slow motion, and his wife, Bill's wife, was next to him while he was recounting the event, and I was dying. laughing in the kitchen because I was doing my dishes at the time. I had to stop. I crouched and held my stomach because I was laughing so hard at how Bill described it. Something about where the guy just literally barreled on the floor and just slammed into this car while the skateboard was still going. And he walked over to the guy like after 5 minutes and said, "Hey buddy, you okay?" So I'm working on it. It's very hard to do. It's not an easy gig. Obviously, it's better with someone else because that's when I can bounce it off. But I'm going to try and do it myself and see how Bill does it. I'm going to see it. Because the idea, of course, is you take any topic you're aware of and you spin it. I was going to go on this fantastic rant about Kobe Bryant's wife because basically I thought she had actually divorced him. And I was going to compare it to Amber Heard's situation. Well, okay, fine. Kobe Bryant's wife probably has been with him for almost 10 years and she's divorcing him. You know, that's when you go for a payout divorce. Because if you've been in there, you've been in that fucking dugout, you've been in that, what's it called, the trenches for almost 10 years. That's when you go to the court. That's when you ask for spousal support. That's when you take half. You know, it's like those fucking, okay, I should be more respectful of them. But the soldiers in World War I, because I'm listening to a World War I podcast, Jesus Christ. Those guys went through hell, man. I mean, they were in the trenches every day just being shelled. I mean, you have massacres like the Battle of Verdun or the fucking butchery of the Somme. And those guys just lived in the absolute shit. So I was just thinking about like how like Kobe Bryant's wife, I mean, she'd been there for like almost a decade and she was aware that he cheated on her and she was like, okay, no, I support my husband and everything. Meanwhile, you know, she just has this internal doomsday clock that just kicked off. She's like, okay, I need to do at least 10 years before I take half. So she's still there just taking those shell shots, man. She's taking those hits on a daily basis. I mean, can you imagine being ridiculed by literally the planet when you are in a relationship where your husband's cheating on you and you're just there taking it, you're taking the insults, saying, why don't you leave him? Why are you staying? Are you staying for love or money? I mean, even some people are saying that now that she was going to divorce the guy and now she recounted the divorce proceedings, you know. So a lot of people are saying, why are you there? Do you still love the guy or are you there for money? And hey, my pessimistic view, I think she's there for what? The latter, you know. But you never know. This is me just speculating. Some guy randomly in Cambridge in front of his computer that talks to himself for an hour. But no. So I was going to make an analogy about how, you know, that's someone that you take those hits, you stay in that trench, you do your time, and then you pay. You go for the payout. You know, you don't do that after 15 months. You don't do that after 15 months. You don't have kids with the guy. I'm referring to Amber Heard at the moment anyway. You don't do that when you don't have kids with the guy. You're there for 15 months. You haven't even done anything, and you want to go for spousal support. Ugh, please. So yeah, that's the part I was gonna do a rant on. Then I discovered that, of course, Kobe Bryant's wife didn't want to divorce him anymore. She recanted the divorce proceedings, and now they're still together. So that ruined that. So that's about 15 minutes of a rant right there. But yeah, so I will try. It's hard. Comedy is a hard thing. So I want to go into stand-up comedy and stand-up. I do have some stuff, some bits I keep writing, but I don't want to disclose them on my podcast for obvious reasons, because someone might just siphon off those ideas. I think I've even said too much in this episode. So I'm going to see. But yeah, I will keep doing this. Maybe do up to 20 episodes and figure out maybe I'll just go do something else. But it's interesting because it's so hard to try and get people on. You know, even I said, listen, I'm not going to use your name. It's just, you know, we're going to have a chat and whatnot. And I can't wait for people to come on because, you know, if I was like very famous or whatever and had famous friends or I traveled a lot, then I would always have people to have on the show. But it's just, I'm not there yet. Who knows what's going to happen? So that's why I have to do this every week. I want to do this every week because otherwise I'll get lazy. I'll just wake up one Sunday morning and say, you know what, fuck it. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. But every week, expect something. And on occasion, I will have someone on where we can have a conversation. Be it Dan or Audacious. I'm going to try and get some more people on. I know I keep saying this, but, you know, I'm not entirely full of shit because I did say we're going to get on iTunes, or at least we're going to get the podcast disseminated, and that's happening. So my next milestone is to get on Twitter. and just have a Twitter channel. I'm very wary of Twitter because I don't know. It's just there's this whole hive mind on Twitter that you say the wrong thing and people go after you. But at the same time, though, I mean, if that's happening, you just switch off the computer and just leave. It's like all those kids that they said, oh, they're being cyberbullied or being abused on the internet. I'm like, if you're being abused in Facebook, don't sign into Facebook. If you're being shut on in Twitter, don't log in into Twitter. That's it, you're done. I remember seeing this article. No, there's even this article, this commentary page about this video, about this girl that unfortunately, I think she committed suicide because she was being bullied. And this girl's like, it's such a shame this happened because if you're having so much shit on the internet, just switch off the computer and walk outside. You're fine. It's not like you have this whole hive mind internet thing that's constantly hovering over you like drones or something. Or they know where you live now and they're gonna just keep hovering and say, oh, you should shame. It's like that whole procession where Cersei in Game of Thrones, where she walked through King's Landing or whatever, and she was naked, and people, and you had that annoying woman from the whole faith, whatever, and just ringing the bell after I say shame, ding, shame, ding, shame. I'm like, I was looking at the way Cersei's looking at her. I'm like, I want Cersei to get revenge so bad. I don't like her character, but I wanted to get revenge so much, and I figured that's the woman she's gonna go for first. She's gonna have heads are gonna fucking roll, man. It's a Game of Thrones reference. But anyways, that's the point, Anyways, plan next is go on Twitter. And this is my 13th episode. I'm trying to work this out. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to do an hour by yourself, which is why I prefer to have people come on. But I'll work on that too. So thanks, guys, for being patient. Thanks for listening. I'm doing my best here. And I'm going to keep it going. And anyways, so like I said, I am positive I'm going to have Audacious in the next, he's going to come on in the next episode. I'm looking forward to getting Dan on the episode after he gets back from China, because I need to pick his brains on what that world is like. And yeah, we're going to keep this rolling. Thank you very, very much for listening to episode 13 of the Sounds Legit podcast. You can find me on YouTube. Just search. In fact, you can find me on any of these platforms by just searching for Sounds Legit podcast. On YouTube, I have a full presence there. I now have a presence on iTunes, and a limited presence on SoundCloud. So next step is Twitter. We're going to have a quad effect and whatnot. And like I said, God, apologies. If you run into the other guys that have a similar name to my podcast, give them a listen. I haven't listened to their stuff because I don't know. I don't want that in my head. But you can listen to both of us. I mean, they seem cool with what they're doing. They have a better setup where I think it's two of them. So at least you have someone like a partner, which I lack. So kudos to them for doing that. And give them a listen. Give us both a listen, Share the love. I don't mind. But it's very interesting because the name thing's a bit weird, because I was thinking about, okay, God, does this mean I have to come up with a new podcast name and logo and everything? And eventually I might do that, but we'll see. They haven't reached out to me yet, and I haven't reached out to them, and I think we should be aware of each other now. So guys, if you're listening to this, hey, how you guys doing? You're right. In a way, I kind of came in before you, since my first podcast episode was in March. You guys actually came up first in the iTunes circuit before me, so it's kind of a weird situation, if you got what I mean. But I think we can both coexist. And to be honest, I might change the name I might even start a new podcast after this anyway, so we'll see how it goes. Anyways, for the rest of my 2 or 3 valiant listeners, thanks for listening. Thank you for tolerating my nonsense on this solo episodes I make. And I'll catch you in episode 14, okay? Take it easy. Bye.